At the moment I'm writing a blues bass course, and in this lesson I wanted to take you through one of my favourite ever blues bass lines, Sweet Home Chicago by the Blues Brothers. Now this was first recorded by Robert Johnson in 1936, but the Blues Brothers version contains the bass playing of Donald "Duck" Dunn, one of the greatest ever bass players, certainly in R&B, Motown and blues. So what I'll do is I'll take you through this 12-bar form. I've transcribed the first verse, sort of chorus bit for you, and I'll show you how to play it, but then afterwards really we're going to go deep into the theory and some shapes and what you can play around this and how you can make this your own. You can download this PDF by following the link below. Let's take a look at the first line. I'll play it nice and slow. You can see the hand just remains in one position. I really can't wait to show you later on in the lesson the patterns and the notes that you can use. It's going to make a lot more sense. But for now, I'll just show you what we're playing. Those chord symbols above will become very important. So E7 to A7, E7. This is a 12-bar major blues in E. So here's the first line, or first bar rather. E, going to C sharp, and then B, and then G sharp. It's really good to know the names of these notes. You'll find that they're all on either the open string E or the 4th or 2nd frets. So feel free to use your first finger on the 2nd fret and third finger on the 4th fret, or use your little finger, like I'm doing, on the 4th fret, which lessens the stretch a little bit. We also have swing or shuffled feel going on here, swing quavers. So these are the beats, but the underlying rhythms are... That's the classic blues feel. Now just keep your hand set in this shape, hovering over those notes, and just go down to the A and the D strings now and do exactly the same thing. So we've got A, 2 F sharps, 2 E's, and C sharp B. Like I said, download the tab if you need to follow that, do. This is more or less exactly Duck Dunn's line in that first 12-bar section, but as you listen to the track, and I recommend you do, you'll hear he does all kinds of different things. The latter part of the lesson will help you with this. Then we're back to E7. And notice it's just that same pattern as before again, twice now. Those 2 bars. Even though I'm just playing unaccompanied, I'm really hearing that pulse in my head and really subdividing into the shuffle thing. I've just got an Apple loop here. Maybe I'll give that to you in the download as well. Just goes like this. It goes at quite a pace, that. Now blues is a simple music, but the way he plays in all of his bass playing, there's a real feel about it that I love. Let's go to the second line, A7 now. So far we've got all the same notes, you know, hovering around the 4th and 2nd frets. So really make sure that you've got your hand in that position, and really do learn the notes as you go as well. So 2nd bar of that second line, A, F sharp, E, C sharp. And then we have a cool rhythm at the end of this 3rd bar, a triplet. Let's go from the beginning. So each beat is subdivided into triplets. It's a nice little rhythm to bring out some interest there. And again. Now we've got this on the last line. You can hear him using these slides, and actually you can do that before as well, like the first bar. It just adds a little bit more expression. But over this B7, got the B on the 2nd fret A string, and then place your 3rd finger or little finger on the F sharp, 4th fret D string, and just slide across 2 frets to the G sharp. Back to the F sharp. Maybe I'll go 3rd finger this time. There's the D sharp to C sharp. Now that right there is a pattern I'll show you coming up. Very useful. Then we're to the A7. Got that triplet rhythm again. And again, back to this same old notes on the E7. Then we've got this little figure at the end, which is also the intro of the song after Steve Cropper's great famous guitar intro. So it's E, A, A sharp, B. And here's a little fill at the end. And then that's the form, that's your 12-bar blues. Now, speaking about form, the song is really, really long, but basically you have a few sections. You've got that 12-bar section, which is sort of the verse and the chorus all jammed into one. So you've got that intro, then the 12 bars, then the 12 bars again, and then a breakdown where you just play an E, 2, 3, 4, 2, just one quarter note, do it 4 times. And the 4th time, you can lead up and we're back into the form. So that's the breakdown. Then it does another 12 bars exactly as I've showed you, and you can embellish and improvise a bass line. That's the next section of the lesson. And then in the guitar solo, it's almost the same, but it doesn't go E7 to A7, it just stays on an E7 for 4 bars. That's the only other thing to watch out for. So that really is just the first time round the 12 bars and exactly what Duck Dunn plays. But if you listen, you can hear him stretching out. He's not reading a bass line here, he just knows a 12-bar blues and he knows how to improvise around it. That's this part of the lesson. Let's go into it. So how do you do that? Well, we've got an E7, and there are just a load of different notes that you can play over this, or really not many notes, but lots of different orders that you can put them in. So let's show you this. I mean, I've already shown you that, but you've got the open E. When you go to the next string and you just go up 4 frets, that note there, the C sharp, that's a major 6th interval. And next to it is the 5th. You have to know that. It's such a common pattern in R&B, soul and blues music. Now Duck Dunn knows the notes that fit over the chords, and you must too. So you've got, I'm really thinking of them in intervals now. Root, major 6th, there's the 5th. And that G sharp there, which is on the same fret as the major 6th, the 4th fret in this case, but on the same string as the root, that's a major 3rd. You can hear the beginning of a major arpeggio there. And sliding to that is a very common thing to do. And then with the 5th, you've got a triad. Root, major 3rd, 5th. That's the E, the G sharp, and the B. So many bass lines could be made with these few choice notes. So when you have it starting on an open string, if you went to the A, you could do the same pattern and you get the same, root, major 3rd, 5th, major 6th. After a while, you don't think of it like that. You just know these notes work and that's it. One thing he does in one of the verses, I can't remember exactly, he goes like something like this. And you would have heard that, I'm sure. Very Willie Dixon inspired here. And that's where you have that major 6th. If you just go 1 fret higher than that, that's the dominant 7th. That's the 7 that's referred to in the chord in E7. Now you can put these notes in any order and come up with a great bass line, and that's really what this is all about. I highly recommend you study Duck Dunn's original bass line, and you pause it after each bar and force yourself to listen to it and work out how he's putting the notes in order, because what he's doing is great. This is how you get better. You do this in any style, whether it's rock, jazz, funk or blues. You study the players and you listen to what they're doing. When we go to the B7, now I already showed you that pattern. It's the same as before, but now we don't have an open string. We've got what's called a closed pattern. You can move this around anywhere on the E or the A string. So we've got the B, that's the root, 4 frets higher, that's your major 6th. 2 frets lower is the 5th, and that note on the same fret as the major 6th is the major 3rd. And if you have anything that's on the same string, you can slide. And that just adds a real expression and flair to playing. There is a little bit of a shift required if you do this, especially there. My thumb's attached or touching the back of the neck, but I'm just shifting quickly. Don't forget that the dominant 7th, that flat 7, is 1 fret higher than the major 6th. So all those notes. That essentially is exactly the same pattern. I suppose you might say there are two. There's one open string version, then there's one fretted version, but essentially it's the same bunch of notes. You can use those notes on any of those chord symbols. Then if you listen, he does a lot of stuff like this. I guess that's sort of a jazz thing, but it's just leading up from one chord to the other chromatically. So E. A is on the 5th fret of the E string. So if you just lead up from the 2nd fret, the F sharp. The bass is a really great instrument for that, for leading the listener's ear into the next place and the other musicians. It's a good thing to do that. Later on in the song, he goes up the octave, but it's the same pattern. As long as you're on in this example here, I'm on an A. That's the same pattern as I showed you for the B. And if you play the A on the 7th fret, same pattern. Look how that unlocks the fretboard, by the way. I know an A here, and I know an A here. It's a very simple octave pattern. And I can apply one pattern onto each of those notes. And I suppose you can even put that 7th in. It sounds like I've done a lot there, but I haven't really. Okay, if the technique side of this is beyond you at the moment, you could use that as a technique exercise. Let's make one up right now, by the way, just to see if we can get you playing faster and more smoothly. Okay, let's do that. So, first finger on the A. Then 3rd finger slide to that major 3rd. Go straight to the 5th and the 6th. I've just changed what I'm doing here. If I go 1st finger, 3rd finger, can you see how the little finger is right there for the flat 7? Okay, there's a bit of a shift here. Exactly the same thing, but now on the higher octave. So if you're into that style of music, blues and also R&B and soul, which are related, and Motown, you might want to check out my R&B Soul Motown course, which takes 40 bass grooves and very short, quite simple, simple to sort of intermediate standard, all in the style of players like Tommy Cogbill, James Jamerson and Duck Dunn. And I just break them down and show you some of the theory behind it, some more shapes and how to make your own stuff up, as well as the exact 40 grooves, and there's a few backing tracks. I'll put a link to that below as well. But thanks for watching that. And if you did enjoy that lesson, then this one right here, which is all about 9 very, very common shapes in that genre, you'll like that one as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.